Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma. I'm Nick, and today we are talking about the law of success. Sadly, this is our last episode in this series of working with the law. It's been a really amazing series, and if you haven't listened to them, go back and find some of the previous ones and then give this one a listen. You can find all of the show notes and any resources that we talk about on the podcast page, which is at illuminationacademy.net/INK130. And let's get started.
Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kisma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Hey, Kisma.
130. We're on episode 130.
We are.
And I think the working with the law started, was it 124? 124, 125. There's
This is episode 8.
Oh, okay. So just flashback, everyone. It's so good.
Yeah.
I don't want it to end.
Well, we have some other cool books. I'm really enjoying the books.
The books are great. And I know we'll get a couple cool guests on here too, but I just, I geek out. I mean, I'm creating this whole new 90-day mini mastermind training called the Prosperity Code, which is based on the spiritual laws. So it's just, I don't know. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is mastery of life. And we understand these laws when we use the laws, not try and change them. When we use them, we really do master life.
This is where you develop the true mastery.
It's amazing.
Is in using these things in every area of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited about it. I had this weird experience I wanted to share with you.
So something I haven't heard?
No, well,
you're sharing it publicly first. I'm a little nervous.
It's such an interesting thing. And it kind of speaks to how I think about these laws.
Mm-hmm.
So back in junior high school,
oh gosh,
I had an assignment in English, and English was never one of my strong subjects.
No, it's interesting because you're a good writer.
Yeah, not so much in middle school. Actually, I was good at the writing part. It was like all the, I don't know, I just didn't really.
The grammar.
I just didn't.
English is a complicated language.
But one of our assignments was to take this poem and read it, right? And it had it was a book of poem excerpts, and you could just pick whatever. And it had the first 2 stanzas of this poem by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Probably most people have never heard of. I know I had never heard of before. And a poem called Renaissance. I remember reading it, and it stuck with me for years and years, like up until this day.
Really?
I would remember things.
I've never heard of this poem.
And then I pulled it up.
It's your secret mistress, this poem.
And yeah, right.
Do we need to stop and just have a discussion?
No,
just kidding.
We do not. No, I mean, I've never really talked about it, but it's just something that's been in the back of my head, or I'd think about it from time to time. And I never read past the first 2 stanzas. So I pulled up the whole poem and I start reading it, and it's, lo and behold, it's about this crazy cosmic experience of this person like really opening themselves into like the cosmic oneness experience and into infinity. And I started reading it, and I was like, holy crap, this has been right in front of me the whole time. And I just never read past the first 2 stanzas.
You were not quite ready for the full cosmic experience.
Apparently not.
Since middle school until now. So this happened a couple of days ago. You grabbed the poem.
Actually, it happened a couple of weeks ago that I grabbed the poem and put it up on my computer. And it had been sitting there on my iPad. And then just a couple of days ago, I actually read it.
And was there a thread back of like what prompted you to start reading the poem?
No, really just like, man, I wonder what else is in there.
I wonder what else is in there.
It was just this funny little thought of like, yeah, I wonder what that,
Your intuition pinged you.
Yeah. And so I'm geeking out on it. It's really an amazing poem. And what I mean with the laws though, is that, wow, we can take them to a certain place and we can see what we see. But when you really step in, it's like there's so many amazing things that are just hiding in plain sight.
Truly.
It's so amazing. And that's the depth and the richness of this topic. And that's why it really does come down to mastery.
Yeah.
It's all about mastering yourself to to utilize this in the world.
Yeah, I'm beginning to realize when one goes by the laws completely, they reach that self-realized state.
Yeah.
Because everything is working exactly as it is designed to be, including understanding the oneness with the universe, Brahman, whatever your word is.
It takes you to the ultimate. It's the same path of just really being successful in the world.
Right.
In the truest sense of success, which we're going to unpack in this episode, as well as taking you all the way to that ultimate state. It's the same stuff.
Right.
Same principles every step of the way. I just think that's so amazing. So I think important to talk about, well, what the heck is success?
What is success? How does he define it? Because we've been referencing this book, Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell.
Right. And he asked that very question. What does true success consist of? Almost every other person will hold a different view as to what constitutes real success. To avoid confusion of ideas, let us define our meaning of the term. The most people consider success as being a high state of worldly prosperity, right? Fair enough. Others as the realization of personal hopes or fulfillment of their heart's desires. Still others as the achievement of their ambitions or the performance of great deeds. Cool, right? Real success, however, is something more than this. We do not define it in terms of money, position, fame, or wealth, although it may include all of these. True, genuine success of the largest kind lies in the results obtained, harvest reaped, and distributed so that our fellow beings at large are benefited and the world is enriched.
Read that again, because that...
Right? Real success is something more than this. True, genuine success of the largest kind lies in the results obtained, harvest reaped, and distributed so that our fellow beings at large are benefited and the world enriched.
I love that. Oh man, the world just becomes a better place.
That's it.
We're not selfish.
That's how he defines success. And I think that's a fair definition. Now, I'm not saying you have to adopt that definition or anybody for that matter, but I really think there's something to that to be considered of what is true success in your life.
So good.
Now, as we've talked about before, it's not necessarily about not having your desires or making them wrong because they're maybe a little more worldly or, a little more selfish for what you want in your world or how you want to live your life. We're not saying that at all, at all. But what I'm inviting everybody to do is to consider a higher state of success and how that ripples out and impacts the world.
Well, and here's what comes to me when we talk about that. I have an inclination that when we go for the quote unquote real success that serves and makes an impact on the world, on the planet, it's actually easier to get that. Why? Because it would mean we're using the laws.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I think there's so much, we talked about the law of non-resistance, and when we're resisting what is really to be created and to serve, it's going to be heavier. It's going to be harder. It's not going to be this holistic success. Exactly.
And that is what he talks about here, that success is natural.
Right.
So he puts this in a couple different ways, which I think is very interesting. This is from the book. Each normal, I'm not really sure what that word means. Each normal person, we'll just go with normal. Each person is endowed with a complete set of faculties, which, if properly developed and scientifically applied, will ensure success, ever-growing success.
So we've all got it.
Everybody's got it.
Every single person. I just want to insert here too, because I referenced this, I think, in one of the other podcasts. I was at a workshop with Sunandaji, Swamiji's daughter. She was here teaching in La Jolla, and she did talk about this. She goes, if there is a desired place to go, we can all get there. There might be a different speed. There will be different challenges. One person is going to get there sooner than the other, etc. But we're all given the right to get there.
Yeah. And the ability. All have it.
Yes.
And it starts from where you are right now. That's the beauty of it. And you put it so beautifully. Everybody might have their own way of getting there, right?
Exactly.
A palm tree grows totally differently than an oak tree.
It sure does.
They're both beautiful.
Right.
And he uses nature here as his other example. All the processes of nature are successful. Nature knows no failures.
That is just the best. And we are part of nature.
Yes,
we are nature.
Exactly. She never plans anything but success. She aims at results in every form and manner. To succeed in the best and fullest sense of the term, we must, with nature as our model, copy her methods. In her principles and laws, we shall discover all the secrets of success.
That's amazing.
Hiding in plain sight.
Hiding in plain sight. It's right there for us. I wonder why we're not taught this early in life in school. Copy nature. You're given everything you have. I mean, it seems like it becomes this competitive, boxed up way of being that really doesn't work.
Well, it's very difficult to put a number on a person's understanding of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is about radically shifting how education is done in order to do that.
And how many people are actually aware of the laws.
Right.
How many people actually, for all of our listeners, like contemplating this, that nature designs to be successful, that we are part of nature, that we're designed to have the success, to be able to drop the selfishness and have a greater impact on the planet.
Yeah. And to truly do a deep study of oneself. Not that I'm saying like 5-year-olds should be contemplating the meaning of life and the cosmic experience. But at the end of the day, inviting them into a conversation about what makes them special and unique and allowing that to flourish rather than trying to cram back into a box.
Right. And how we support each other and see the success in each other's. Yeah.
Well, what if that was the definition of success given?
Man. Right.
Hey, everybody, this is what success is.
Right.
So why don't we think about that? And you're going to have your own place in that and your own piece in that. And why don't we make it our job to figure out what that is?
Yeah. Amazing.
Right. Rather than like, here, you need to get all these A's so that you can do this. And I don't know. That's another podcast.
It's another podcast. There's so many.
Rein it in. Mm-hmm. And we're going to get back to this
success
one. Because I do get fired up about education.
Success is dropping the selfishness and being unselfish towards the selflessness.
Yeah.
In the absolute.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now he gives some instructive.
That's always helpful.
Passages here. When the heart is right, the head thinks right.
Oh, when the heart is right. So back to the law of forgiveness, everyone.
Right. And I know that we said take right and wrong out of the equation. What he's meaning by right here is in alignment with the law.
Exactly.
Right? It's not about like that's good or that's bad. It's about alignment. Like when you hear the term right thought, right speech, right action, it means in alignment and in accordance with the laws. It's not like
facing forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like the other way is bad. It's just,
if this is what you want, this is the direction you face. This is what you do.
Right. Success depends upon adopting a true course, upholding what is just and right in thought and action. Adherence to a principle is most essential. Success is not a creature of circumstance, nor a game of chance, nor luck. For not until the golden rule is the basis of commercial activity can we be in harmony with the principle. So he brings it into business here, which I think is pretty fascinating. And he's not saying, because I hear that a lot of like, oh, you got to do these certain things in business and yada, yada. And what he's saying is the opposite. He's saying it's not until business comes into fully in accordance with the golden rule that we will have true success.
We see it time and time again.
I think he's right.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I totally agree. We see companies breaking. We see stocks diving. We see partnerships falling apart. And then you look at it. Yeah.
Hashtag humans.
Hashtag humans. But then when you observe people that have had, I'd like to bring up Bill Gates. I don't follow Bill Gates a lot, but when I read about him, he's giving, he's supporting, he's like, there is this wealth going back to the planet, back to causes.
Yes.
He's treating, I think, I don't know him, but from what I read and see, it seems like he is treating people on the planet in a really beautiful way. The man has incredible success.
Yes.
As does his wife.
Yep. And yeah, I think that's a really great example. And I'm sure that some people might have some opinions about how he spends money or what he stands for or anything like that. And you're certainly welcome to those. But I think I believe from what I see, he's holding that highest.
There's a system at play.
Definition of success in mind. Yeah. Now, Mr. Halliwell also gives us some instruction on the impediments.
The
And
impediments.
This
those
to me, this
darn
is,
impediments.
Oh man, this is where it gets really interesting.
But this is so good because if we get these and remove the impediments, success is right in front of us.
Comes more naturally.
Mhm. It's right in front of us regardless, but it will come easier and more naturally.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I'm going to read them actually one by one.
Okay.
First one, moral cowardice.
Ooh, what is moral cowardice? Like not being willing to look at ourselves?
Moral cowardice, that could be one version of that.
Mhm.
I see moral cowardice as not standing for what's right within
Mhm.
yourself.
Not being true to yourself.
Right. And not upholding that in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's bending in ways that you ought not be bending in order to say people please or to get
Right.
more for you or to do it. And it's bringing selfishness into it. Cowardice.
Yeah.
It's cowardness and cowardice. Oh man, cowardice. Like it's
That sucks.
Yeah.
Let's not do that, people.
That's a non-starter for me. I mean, I know that I must have some of that in me. I know that it must be there somewhere.
Well, if you get triggered by others, you have some.
I know, because I see
we
it
all-
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
It's mostly just like, I know there's more in you. Anyway, that's I guess I'll be working on that later. Next one, indecision at critical moments.
Not able to make a decision, trusted. Or we could look at this as we've talked about not trusting one's intuition.
Yep.
Because I know many times at critical moments when we're receptive, that intuitive channel is open and we're going to get a decision.
Yep. They get stuck in indecision and then the opportunity passes and you might not get another shot at that opportunity.
It's really like a go around of karma.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to take.
Right.
And it's not to say that you won't ever get an opportunity, but what I have seen time and time again is that when there's an inability to, or an indecision at a critical moment like that, it will cost tenfold
Yeah.
next time it comes around.
It really will.
And it'll have an impact financially. It could have an impact health wise. It can have an impact in a relationship, critical moment in a relationship that sows a seed
Right.
and you're not decided about it. And then it comes back.
Yeah.
They're critical moments.
And I think because I know I can hear our listeners being like, but what if we don't know and we make the wrong decision? It really is that trust that, again, the more we incorporate these laws into our life and use them, we make that decision. If by some chance it isn't working out, guess what? We get to make another decision.
Right.
There's always a way to decide and make another decision, that CEO of our life.
Yeah. Indecision is a decision.
It's, and it's a very heavy
It's
decision.
a heavy one, right?
Mhm.
And I would say also is, and he talks about this later as well, that's the value of mentorship. That's
Right.
why you have trusted counselors in
You're
your life
borrowing an intellect.
that are truly
Right.
objective to your situation
Absolutely.
and have the strength and the ability to hold you to your highest.
Right. Love it.
Next one, a desire to have one's own way.
Oh, need to be right.
Now, this one, I see how it can really sabotage someone
Mhm.
if you have to have it your own way. Now, I'm not against, and I don't think he's saying here, I could be wrong, but I don't think he's saying if you just want to have it your own way, that is going to preclude you from success.
No, because some people will decide on really excellent plans and
It'll just work
systems
out.
and whatever.
Yeah. And you will have it the way
But
that you designed it.
I feel like the key is needing to have it.
Yes. Having to have it your
Yeah.
way.
No flexibility.
Yeah.
No insightfulness from other people's perspectives.
Right. But I do see on a deeper level, he says a desire to have one's own way.
Mhm.
If that's your primary desire,
Right.
you're screwed.
You're going to miss out so much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%. You
Need
miss
to
out
be
on
right.
ridiculous amount of opportunities. and
Right.
collaboration. Well, that's the next one. Inability to cooperate.
Oh, golly. Right. Back to the consistency, cooperation, commitment thing.
Yeah. And you see this, there's this funny thing in the entrepreneurial world, the self-made person.
Yeah. Nobody's
Such a
self-made.
lie.
Yeah, it really is. Sad lie.
Now, I don't want to take anything away from people who have really busted their tails.
Right.
I get it. Like
Mhm.
there is nothing like getting a small business off the ground and really
Mhm.
making it work, everybody. And it takes a ridiculous amount of commitment. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't
It
think.
really isn't. It just isn't.
It's just not. However, you didn't do that on your own,
No.
right? You always have these just endless unseen helping hands, and seen and unseen helping
Seen
hands.
and unseen. I mean, I people who have a laptop lifestyle. Well, who designed the laptop?
Exactly.
Who's put the programs on? Who's got the Wi-Fi? Like we connect the dots back. If we really look at it, it's a great amount of humility that can set in.
Yeah.
Because we know how we've been supported. And like you said, Nick, the unseen, if you want to just use your energy, cool. But guess what? There's a whole universe full of energy that's willing to support.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the things that have shattered hopes of millions. So he says, and I think he's right about that. There are a few other ones here.
Well, I think the one to look at was the fear.
Yeah, that's
we were
exactly
talking
where I
about
was
that
going.
because that is a heavy, heavy energy.
Yeah, he addresses this in a more broad way, but I'm going to keep it concise. He just basically says, when man's mind is confused by fear, he is in no condition to accept an opportunity.
That's exactly right.
So it goes back to this one where he's talking about indecision at critical moments, especially in critical moments, but fear is paralyzing.
Right.
Clouds judgment, congest your brain, and then you can't see clearly. And that's when you miss opportunity, right? Opportunity is always around us.
So it's really being able to transform that fear into confidence. And that happens by understanding there are these mathematical equations around us, these laws, this substance, this support to lean into and use.
Well, if you go back to the last episode,
The forgiveness,
where he says forgiveness should be as limitless as faith, hope, and love. That's the faith. It's not the hope for sure, but it's really the faith that the laws are working. They're always working. They can't not be working.
And forgiving so that we're not carrying amounts of heaviness. Right.
But I do believe that for fear, there is a very important component of faith. That is the remedy for that. It soothes the soul. It helps the mind to let go of all of those little things that just don't make sense to the brain.
Right. And congest it and create a lot of noise.
Yeah. Because what do you do in fear is then you either get paralyzed or you start to take control of the situation in ways that, maybe aren't for the highest and best just because when it's being driven by fear. Now, I'm not saying when something's spinning out of control and you see it that you shouldn't take control of the situation. That's what a leader does. However, if you're doing that from a fearful place, you will likely be clouded. And then it's going to go whichever way, either way. But when you step in clear, you have a much better opportunity to see what's right there for you. Whether it's a subtle shift in the market that you need to be attuned to, whether it's a message that's out there that you really need to grab onto, or whether it's just a subtle shift in that emotion with your beloved, right?
Well, and I think any action decision that comes from fear is depleted. It's not going to be a vibrant decision. It's not going to be a vibrant action. And we just feel it, when you're around someone who's in a lot of fear, there's a desperation, and that is not using the laws. That's going against the law of supply. It's all of these laws just get so integrated in an amazing way to me.
Yeah. Here's the next one. It is said that half our failures are the result of our pulling up on our horses and checking them as they are about to leap the barrier. Now, I've never leaped a barrier on a horse, but that seems like a terrible idea to me.
Right.
It's at the critical moment, where people pull back when they should, I don't know, I'm going to use that word should, when you ought to lean in.
Right.
This is your moment to really step in. And this is where I kind of want to expand on this in another episode, because we will talk about the big leap at a certain point, upper limiters, and basically self-sabotage in our success. And that's usually when somebody gets to that critical moment, they know it's a critical moment and you're about to break through. That's when we quit. Or something distracts us, or it's like, it suddenly seems like in his example, it suddenly seems super important to check on the horses just as we're about to make this big leap, so to speak.
Right.
Well, that's the worst time that you can do that.
Exactly.
It's going to sabotage everything.
Exactly.
Right? And so I would say, think about in your life where you get to, where you might be getting to that moment, and then, it seems uncomfortable, and we start to pump the brakes.
Right.
Interesting.
And you just don't break through
Yeah.
because you're uncomfortable.
And then it spins out and then you're back, that's the 1 step forward, 2 steps back type of thing.
Absolutely. And people are doing this all the time. We see it.
Yeah. Super frustrating.
Yeah.
And then one more that he talks about, again, I might like to expand in a future episode, but he talks about, I think it's important to cover here, procrastination.
Whoa, such a big one. I remember Swamiji talking about this and he just flat out called it a disease.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's like, it's a disease. I was like, oh boy. And you know what's so
I love that, man.
I know. What's interesting from our point of view, we work with the Ultimate Life Tool, and we know that some people come in with less in their doing spokes.
That's right.
And so procrastination will actually be almost a norm, but it's understanding it all.
Yeah.
Right. It's understanding your authentic nature and driver. And we can, if you're interested in having a breakthrough session around that, we'll put a link in the show notes for you. But overall, we do have to, he shares, which I think really wisely is like, get some of the little stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
Because when all those little pieces build up, then we have more noise, then we have more congestion, then we have more, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really about what you're referring to is
it's almost like a rhythm of doing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's just like, it's like finding your rhythm of doing, and your rhythm will definitely be different than a very active person, right? It's just different, and you'd have to manage that. Mr. Halliwell says, the worst enemy you will encounter on life's highway is within your own self. Its name is procrastination. Procrastination kills ambition. Now, this is very interesting. It gets one into the habit of indecision, which causes failure.
Yes, right.
Think about that. I never really thought about it like that, but it's a habit. Indecision it becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit, right.
And indecision will definitely cause failure.
Not taking action is indecision.
Yeah, exactly. One who cannot decide for himself clearly subordinates his judgment. He becomes receptive to the thought around him, and then he becomes one of the masses and can attract only what the masses supply. So when you get stuck in indecision, you go to the least common denominator. Think about that. Indecision is what causes that.
Yes.
And
makes so much sense.
I never thought about it in those terms, but he's totally right about that. When you just get into that habit of procrastination and indecision, and then life starts happening around you, you're just going to entrain to whatever that is. So if you're clicking through your Facebook feed, you're going to entrain to chaos and whatever that least common denominator is. And I don't know about you. Maybe you've got a super highly curated feed. Like I keep mine pretty tidy, but at the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
I do not want that to be my default.
Right.
But that is what happens. And that will happen in every area of life, physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, spiritually, and financially. You will default to the least common denominator.
Oh, it's so important to know.
Procrastination.
So I do want to, because I think this is big for a lot of people, especially in the noisy world. Just start looking at, are you the person that needs the list?
Right.
Are you the person that needs a very detailed list or a chunked out list? Again, we talk about this in the Ultimate Life Tool, but just in some way, shape, or form, begin to get those things tidied up and done. And before you know it, you've rebooted yourself into taking action.
Yeah. I don't know of a better tool to really understand how you take action in the most natural way.
Right.
Much of it will probably be, you're like, oh yeah, but it will dial it into a new level that is like, oh, now I really get it. Because those are the things that will either drain your energy or give you energy.
Exactly.
And doing it in your way, in your rhythm, is the difference between like, driving down the highway in second gear or in fifth gear.
Right.
So choice is yours.
Yeah.
So those are the major impediments. He also talks here along with the procrastination, and this I do want to bring back at another time, as he talks about time.
Oh, time.
We need to do an episode on time.
We've done it before. We need to do another. We shall do another.
Yeah. I'm super fascinated with time. But he does say here, success, then summarized, is the way we learn to use two valuable things, our time and our thought.
Time and thought.
Mr. Halliwell. Really laying it down there. He gives some instruction which I think is
it valuable? It's got to be. This has been an amazing book.
It is.
Link is in the show notes, guys, but it's Working with the Law.
Yeah, I will go back to this again and again. No man can become a success except by training. An athlete will train for weeks and months to fit himself for a contest that may last only for a few minutes.
We know that from the world of being a musician.
Yep. You practice years to play a 20-minute concerto.
Yeah, or a 5-minute audition.
Oh, yeah, or a 5-minute
painful.
audition.
It can be painful and
yes,
exhilarating.
Yes. I've watched many of those, thousands of those auditions.
Right.
Some of them were less than 5 minutes. Right. From players who I knew to be very excellent players who just simply didn't have the best day. Nobody can become a true success except by training. The desire to advance implies the power to advance. So it's recognizing that if you have the desire to advance on your path, then you already have the power within you.
Right.
You could not have the desire without the power. The two actually have to go hand in hand. You cannot aspire to succeed unless you have the power to succeed. Desire creates the power. Power inspires the mind of the individual, and success is the result of that inspiration rightly applied.
So good.
Yeah.
And that inspiration, like it goes back to making an impact for others. And again, Swamiji, he always comes up because he is the one. But I remember when he talked about, because he lectures so much on success and business, it's like, have an ideal and toss your ideal up there. And when you work towards the ideal, you'll create success because it's so much bigger than you.
Right. It is. It's so much bigger. And he says here also, this is also instructive, I think, obstacles viewed from a higher point of view are invariably stepping stones to success. So what he's saying here in the context of this is talking about, you're going to encounter obstacles on your way to success. Things are going to happen. I can't remember the last anything I planned went exactly according to plan, like ever.
Right.
And it's not necessarily that you can choose to go in there and violate the law of non-resistance and just fight your way through everything. But when you have a more objective perspective, you can take a step back and you can look at it from that higher point of view and see, these are stepping stones. These are things that I needed to do in order to set that right and set everything in motion in the way that it needed to.
Right.
Now, the more that you get super stuck in your head around it, I just think that makes it heavy and harder and really actually limits things. Whereas when you have that non-resistance and that openness and availability to let the path unfold before you, then you can, number one, meet those obstacles with a lot less resistance. And number two, see them for what they are.
Yes.
The stepping stones.
Right. And see the gift in them.
Right. And this is a part where I think, again, I can speak for myself that having really gifted mentors in my life has made the world of difference.
It's just, again, when we're inside the bottle, we can't read the label.
Yeah.
When we're inside our lives, we can't always see. Maybe we see the obstacles, maybe we don't. But we can't always identify our own perspective towards them. If that's one thing I do time and time again with clients, shift the perspective. And then all of a sudden the experience is different.
Yeah, the experience is different and their results will be different because of that.
Dramatically different.
It's a world of difference. And that is why having those people in your life is so important.
Right.
It's critical. I can't tell you how grateful I am. And when I tick back through the list of people who have played a role in that, I'm just in awe.
Yeah.
Truly in awe.
For sure.
And I know beyond knowing that I would never ever be doing anything that I'm doing right now without that. I want to close it out here with one of his ending thoughts. You cannot rise into the better and greater things unless you do something about it. Study, planning, and effort are all necessary. The young and old alike are entitled to advance. To be true to yourself and to the law which governs you, you simply must advance. For advancement is success. It is the law's intention that you shall move forward. You can stand still and you can go back, thus retarding your normal progress for a while, perhaps as long as a lifetime.
Oh,
But in the end, you will be compelled to move forward, especially in the direction of soul's growth.
that I love. That's the truth right there.
Yeah. I disagree slightly with the standstill part, but I understand what he's saying here.
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to get nitpicky about it. But you can go backwards. That's the thing where people look at it in the absolute perspective of like, my soul's on its journey and we'll get there.
Yeah,
Well,
you'll get there.
yeah, you'll get
But
there.
how- when?
Right? But you can actually go backwards. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really important thing for people to understand. You actually can come into this life and do things that will set you back, things that will leave a mark.
Absolutely. It happens all the time. And you can do things that will propel you forward.
In a really amazing way.
Yeah.
In fact, that is in many of the Buddhist teachings that they talk about this opportunity of this lifetime as being so ridiculously precious.
Yeah.
Where
Well, we know it is.
but the example that they've given is saying, the student asked the master, well, how many opportunities do I have, and he lifts up and the whole beach, and he's like, that one grain of sand, that's what you have right now.
Yeah. And you better take it.
You got to take it, right? This is it. Like you're one in that many.
Yeah.
You're one in that many. That's what this lifetime for you to be here, right now.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks they have time, and this is all that we have.
Right now.
This is it. The right now.
Well, I think too, we were talking about this before, Nick, is that the soul's going to go on its journey.
Right.
It's just when the conditioned human personality gets in the way, holds it up, can't see, won't flow with the laws or forgive or whatever, the soul, it's just going to keep coming back. I mean, that's what, the theory of reincarnation. I'm not asking people to believe what I believe, yet there is quite a bit of evidence, and that soul's just going to keep going around the block. So what we do now, every minute of every day, is so important and vital for the impact that we're going to make for other people and for our own soul's growth.
Right. And you have the opportunity of a lifetime to walk out of here cleaner, brighter, shinier, or much more messy and dirty.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to look at that success piece is every day we're a better version of ourselves. Every day we're a bit brighter, more compassionate, more forgiving, perhaps more productive. Maybe we have the days we're not, yet we're a better version of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. We show
Cool.
up in a different way.
Yeah.
We lead from a different space and contribute, like he talked about, that contributing that value to the betterment of one and all.
That's amazing.
Like that is just such an amazing way to look at success. And this is it. Time, well, we'll do an episode on that, but the illusion of it is that we have the time.
Yeah.
And that's because there's a part of us that is eternal.
Right. So we can't always reconcile.
Right.
We won't be here because we will always be here.
Yeah,
but in what iteration?
But people will live this life as if they're going to live forever. And this is the life that you have.
Right.
And I sincerely hope from this episode that you take away a couple things. Like first and foremost is that success is so much deeper.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much depth to success. And I think finding that definition for you and how that shows up in your life,
Right.
especially if you don't know what that is at all, definitely start the conversation. And if you do, let's refine it even more.
Absolutely.
And secondly is the urgency.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we have.
Yeah.
And
not in a scary way, but just in an exciting way. This is what we have. So let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Like it's
Yeah.
all right here. He's
Right.
saying it. And it's true. It's all right here,
Yeah.
right now.
Mhm.
And in, what was it in Shawshank Redemption, where Red and Andy Dufresne, they're sitting by the wall and Andy just got out of the hole and it's like a whole thing. And he says, get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah. Well, let's live, everybody. And if you need help with that, reach out, info@sourcemovement.com. We've got many things going on. Nick's Energy Mastery Training, my Prosperity Code, 90-day Mastermind, and a host of other ways. Definitely the ultimate life tool. So info@sourcemovement.com. But as well, thank you for going through this series with us. It's definitely been really special for us to put together.
Yeah, it's been such a joy. Yeah, really. Thank you.
I
Thank you,
love it.
Kisma, for the inspiration. This was her inspiration. Well, we were going to do a couple and then
we kept going.
Yeah,
So
we
I was
just
like,
kept
I'm not
going.
ready to stop.
There's only 3 left, maybe.
Yeah. I might be surprised next week, everyone. We'll let you know. All right, everyone, go out there and be the most bright and beautiful you.
Yep. Give us a like and a share, a comment.
Rating and review.
A rating and review.
We so appreciate you.
Appreciate that. That helps to get the word out, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want the episode notes, illuminationacademy.net/INK130. Have an amazing week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Namaste. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.